WBNY, how can I help you?
I don't know who you are.
We're 91.3 FM, WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative since 1982, brought to you by the Buffalo State Student Activity Fee. We bring a unique blend of all types of music, including local music that is not available anywhere else. We offer a wide variety of talk shows and most Buffalo State sports, including football, basketball, and hockey.
I don't know what you want.
We just want you, the listeners, to follow us every day. Now broadcasting at 1,000 watts, you can listen to us from just about anywhere in Western New York.
I will look for you.
You can listen to us on your radio or online at WBNY.org.
I will find you.
That's great.
And I will kill you.
Okay, thanks for calling. Have a great day.
I am a mother.
I am an entrepreneur.
I am a singer.
I am an artist.
I'm a journalist.
A businesswoman.
An educator.
A sister.
A grandmother.
An advocate.
A leader.
I am a friend.
I am
one of more than a million people living with HIV in the U.S.
We are not alone.
Let's stop HIV together.
Get the facts. Get tested. Get involved. Go to www.actagainstaids.org for more information.
Attention Buffalo businesses. Did you know that underwriting could get you noticed and recognized from people all throughout the local region? For only a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for commercial radio airtime, 91.3 FM WBNY has been an integral part of the Buffalo community since 1982. But did you know that we are a non-for-profit student-ran organization? And for us to maintain our daily operations, WBNY counts on the student activity fee here at Buffalo State, as well as the contributions from you, the local businesses. For more information, contact the WBNY underwriter at 716-878-3080 or by email at wbnyuwd@gmail.com. And thanks as always for listening to Buffalo's original alternative, 91.3 FM WBNY.
It's the pledge American students recite every morning. Now, this pledge means something greater, especially for the young men of this country. By law, men have a civic duty to register with Selective Service when they turn 18. So if you're a young man, do your part to keep America strong. Register with Selective Service. Register online at www.sss.gov or pick up a Selective Service registration card at the post office.
With liberty and justice for all.
91.3 FM WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative. Brought to you by the Student Activity Fee here at Buffalo State College. This is All Talk Monday, WBNY's public affairs programming that airs Monday mornings till midnight. The views expressed in all the various All Talk Monday shows are not necessarily those of WBNY, the United Students Government at Buffalo State, or Buffalo State itself. Due to the opinionated nature of these programs, listener discretion is highly advised. If you have any questions or comments about All Talk Monday, you can direct them to WBNY's All Talk Monday, 1300 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. For more information, check out our website at wbny.buffalostate.edu. Or you may give us a call at the station at 716-878-5104 and take part in all the various All Talk Monday shows.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. That would help. Good afternoon, Buffalo State College.
I'm just over here laughing.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at my own self. Okay, today is Monday, November 9th, 2015. We're going on 244. and you're listening to Vantage Point, the weekly 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. show on 91.3 FM WBNY, dedicated to social and environmental justice issues not covered by the mainstream media. I am your co-host, Jack Knack, also known as the Weather Medic, the Doctor of Weather. I am joined today in Studio A by my co-host, WBNY Public Affairs Director, All Talk Monday Coordinator, Jessica Kosick. How are you doing, Jessica?
I'm good. You should breathe. I'm good. Midterm grades came out, and I'm feeling good.
Oh, that's good. That's great. That's great. Hopefully, though, you feel the same way after the final grades come out.
I hope so.
Right. And I was going to say, Vantage Point is also your show. Your telephone calls are always welcome. The number to reach us is 878-5104 if in the Buffalo, New York metro area, or if listening to us via the web on TuneIn. Our number is area code 716-878-5104. Our website is wbny.buffalostate.edu. Today we're talking all about the Western New York Peace Center. Jessica, go ahead and introduce our guests.
All right. The first guest we have is Victoria Ross. She is a social worker and peace activist. She is the interim executive director of the Western New York Peace Center, a comprehensive peace and justice organization with initiatives including resisting militarism and weaponized drones, environmental economic justice, and peaceful conflict resolution, including peace education classes and workshops. She is also a consultant for the Interfaith Peace Network, helping people of all ages to improve their communications, increase their cooperation, and enhance their ability to deal with emotions. Through it all, she works with groups and systems to build communities, inspire nonviolence, and create a culture of peace. Vicki also works with children and youth in schools and the community, as well as the Erie County Youth Detention Facility. A qualified clinical social worker and licensed master social worker, master's in social work from Boston University, Victoria also worked with families and the community of parenting, healthy development, mental health issues, and their prevention. She has a master's of arts in law and diplomacy with a concentration in international economic development from Tufts University's Fletcher School, as well as a diploma from the Graduate Institution of International Studies in Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Hi, yes. Thanks very much. I'm just delighted to be here.
All right.
It's great to be here.
I hit the button, but of course it didn't work.
That's all right. Well, we're here now.
We got you.
Step by step.
That's all. We just wanted to get you on.
Thanks.
Okay, and go ahead to the next guest.
Our next guest, Charlie Bowman, is the past interim director of the Western New York Peace Center, and he is currently the head of Renewable Energy Task Force. During the summer, Charlie was the host of the Peace Center show, heard right here on WBNY. He holds a doctorate in biology from the State University of New York at Albany. He taught at the University of Buffalo for 27 years as a science professor. He was awarded the Bruce Kirschner Conservation Award, this spring for leadership in working with many climate change issues and his concern for justice and peace being central to the mission of the climate justice. Charlie has a passion for talking about bomb trains, fracking, and renewable energies.
Right, and welcome back to the show, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy being here.
So does our studio audience here.
Wow, can you turn down that? I couldn't get a parking space here. There are so many people in the audience.
Yeah, they all came out to see us.
They all came out.
Okay. All right. So anyhow, let me start out by asking Vicki. We're going to talk about right now why the Peace Center is here and Peace Center issues, and we're going to have an annual dinner, and it's going to be this Saturday, November 14th, 2015. And Vicki, why don't you tell us some details about the dinner?
Sure. Well, we're very excited about it. It is our 48th annual dinner because the Peace Center was started back in the day, means 1967, as part of Dr. King's clergy and laity. So we have a long history of working for peace and justice, but God knows there's still a huge amount to do. So part of it is having this Peace Center dinner so we can celebrate the things that we have done, focus on the things that we need to do, and it is a fundraiser, be forewarned. But we do have special deep discounts for students because we really, change is going to take all of us. So we have a a very exciting program for this particular annual dinner. We have the number 2 person at Amnesty International USA. Now, I think most of you have heard of Amnesty. They're very, very well known worldwide. They've won a Nobel Peace Laureate, a Nobel Peace Prize for all their work, and she's the number 2 person. And she's going to be speaking on racial justice issues. She has been very involved, really over the course of her professional career, in all kinds of racial justice issues nationwide, and including particularly recently Ferguson and Baltimore. She was on the ground there. So she'll be our keynote speaker. Plus, we have DVDs from when Pete Seeger was there, at a previous dinner. We have people who will be getting awards. We have, just good company. It'll be good food. It's at the convention center. It's this Saturday. Doors open at 5:30, and you can reserve your tickets either by going to wnypeace.org, wnypeace.org, or you can call the office, call 332-3904 and reserve a seat. But we're very excited about that, there's baskets and a silent auction and good company, and talking about the business of the Peace Center, which is plenty.
And there's free parking, too, at the Fernbach ramp.
Oh,
right. 200 Pearl Street. You got to tell people there's free parking because downtown is a mess.
We were just talking about how important, somebody said instead of praying for daily bread, that people should be praying for parking spaces for their cars. But it's I hate to say, for some people that's not the case at all, but for many of us, the parking spaces do become important, just finding your way there.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue.
But we have so many issues that we're dealing with at the Peace Center. When you started talking about the issues that the Peace Center is involved with, we have task forces on so many different areas, so that we're really involved in a lot of areas.
Well, let's talk about some of those task forces right now, okay?
Sure.
And let's start with economic justice. Eric Gallion is the person on that task force.
Well, the Economic Justice Group has worked a lot with the League of Women Voters, with Push Buffalo, and the Center for Economic Justice, etc. Eric has done a great job. You can count on Eric. Eric will be the first one to start the street theater, to put on his Billionaires for Bush or Billionaires for any.
Yeah, we got great support from Nathan Gottbucks. So that's he's a big supporter of the Peace Center. So.
And the big thing about the Economic Justice Task Force, now it's newly the Economic Justice Task Force. But one of the things we've done is work a lot with John Washington, who many of you will know John. John Washington he's getting an award at the Peace Center dinner as an emerging leader, which he certainly is. He was just in the New York Times. He works full-time at Push, and I mean more than full-time, at Push Buffalo, working very hard on everything from making sure that back to parking spaces, that people in the Fruit Belt do not lose their parking spaces that are in front of their homes to the many people who are coming in on the medical campus. So there's a lot of justice issues that come into that.
I always thought that they should have a commuter tax for people not living in the city that are making a lot of money. We're not talking about the minimum wage workers, but we're talking about hospital employees that are making large sums of a decent wage. Either they take public transportation to get there, or they go and my idea is they have to pay a commuter tax. And that should cover them for coming into Buffalo and tying up a parking spot in front of someone's house the whole day.
So that would help. But people, as much as a commuter tax will help, people also want their parking space in front of their house. So a tax to the city may not translate into, I still have a parking space. So if I'm an elderly person and I've got my groceries, there's no substitute for having a parking space in front of your house. So the justice issues, and I want to say the justice issues really, there are so many, and Occupy, which John was actually part of Occupy, so was the Western New York Peace Center.
Right.
And John, has really been very focused on those economic issues, and I'll talk about racial justice issues some more in a little bit, but just want to say, I think. Actually, Charlie, do you want to say anything about the Peace Center and the involvement in Occupy?
Well, yeah, that was actually Vicki was heavily involved in Occupy and got the Peace Center involved through Vicki. And it's amazing how money gets spent. You never can predict, where the expenses are going to come from in the Peace Center. And one afternoon, I got a call from Vicki, and Occupy had dozens of tents on Niagara Square, and the city of Buffalo was trying to say they couldn't be there. And the main reason was that they didn't have any toilet facilities on there. They didn't have any porta potties. And so I got this frantic phone call from Vicki one afternoon, and she said, "We need porta potties right now," and I had no idea where to get. So, anyways, I made a couple of phone calls, and we ordered the porta potties. Turns out we didn't order enough, but anyways, we got it on board, and the next day they started delivering them, just as the negotiations were still busy going on at Niagara Square, and just as the city said you didn't have any porta potties, the truck showed and delivered one right there in front of them, so in front of city officials. So they lost the argument on that. So they were able to stay there for several months, and the members of the Peace Center really supported that effort strongly. They were very expensive. That was a very expensive thing to do. I think for several months it cost something on the order of $3,000, and that was covered by donations specifically for that. So a lot of churches around Buffalo supported that very, very nicely, the UU Church in particular. And people did their laundry for them down there. They would make laundry runs at midnight, and the effort to support Occupy down there was, inside the Peace Center was very, very strong. And, of course, other organizations around, like CEJ, strongly supported them also. And so anyways, it was a great effort until the city kicked them out.
A bomb brought down a Russian plane in Egypt. The weather was foggy.
It's okay, Charlie. I was just testing something here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So anyways, the Occupy movement was summarily halted by Mayor Brown, and in February, the following February, it ran from November 2000.
Well,
October 2011 or 12, I can't remember. 11 to February 2012, and when all the Occupy movements in the country were shut down almost simultaneously. It was we're still puzzled on the simultaneous effort by all the cities around the country to shut down their fledgling efforts at economic justice, and that it was a visible reminder of the great thing was a visible reminder of the economic disparity in the United States, and of course those disparities still exist. And we were down at Niagara Square this morning at 7:30, and personally, I liked it better when the tents were down there. But anyways.
Yeah, I was surprised that Buffalo is one of the last places, I think, in the entire country for those tents to come down.
Well, I want to say I think it was a big, feather in the cap of Buffalo that our Occupy was really, very peaceably and very, well established in the community, and was one of the last left standing. And Occupy, I must say, really changed the national conversation because the injustice, the economic injustice is so pronounced. When a CEO makes some 300 times as much as a worker, we know that there is a huge, gigantic problem. It's just the justice issues. Not to say that, if some people may, be working very hard with a lot of responsibility and talent, but the disparities have gotten huge, back to only rivaled, I'm going to say, either in maybe the 20s or the Middle Ages in some respects. It's really bad. In fact, we have the Fight for 15 is another thing that the Peace Center is supporting. The Fight for 15 will be going on tomorrow.
Yeah,
actually.
Right.
Tomorrow at 10:15 at the McDonald's on William Street. Then at 2:00 we will be
City Hall.
at
City Hall.
No, that's at 3:45.
3:45. Oh, there's another business at 2.
It's at the Waterfront Nursing Home, I believe.
Right, somewhere on
Right,
is it 7th
right.
Street there,
It's
200 7th Street.
Yeah, 207th Street. Aren't you good? Between all of them, I think we got all the information there.
I was gonna I was gonna tell my well, they're serving breakfast now all day long at McDonald's, so
Right. And that's at 453 William Street.
Okay.
At 10:15. So you can get breakfast, and then you can come out and join us with the Fight for 15. And it's not just for fast food workers. It's for everyone. It's for the healthcare workers. And that second place, as you said, it's 207th Street, is Waterfront Nursing Home.
Right.
And then at City Hall at 3:45 at Niagara Square.
All right, I've got to take a break for the news, so I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll get to some more Peace Center talk after these announcements and news.
I'm Karen Chase. Security is being tightened at airports in the U.S. and those that serve the U.S. as investigators look into the possibility that a bomb brought down a Russian plane in Egypt. The weather was foggy and rainy when a charter bus veered off an Arkansas interstate and into a bridge abutment, killing 6 people. Investigators say the bus was approaching a tricky interchange. The next Republican debate will be less crowded. ABC's Tom Yamas tells us who didn't make the cut.
The 2 people missing, Governor Chris Christie and Mike Huckabee. This is not good for their campaigns. The stage will be smaller because of low polling numbers. Those 2, Christie and Huckabee, won't be there. They'll be on the lower card debate, so we'll see how this changes the debate.
Hillary Clinton says she could probably beat her former husband and President Obama if she ran against them today. She told ABC's Jimmy Kimmel, you have to have that kind of confidence if you're in this arena. Obesity surgery gets good grades when it comes to helping teens lose weight. A new study finds the average weight loss is more than 90 pounds, and teens were able to keep the weight off for 3 years. This is ABC News. As investigators pore over the latest jobs report, one company is publicly announcing plans to hire some new employees. ABC's Daria Albinger has the Help Wanted ad.
Think you have the right stuff? NASA's hiring astronauts for the first time in 4 years. Major Ann McLean says you'll need a STEM degree and 3 years of qualifying experience.
It's not just pilots, it's military, civilians, scientists, doctors, engineers. All of those are qualifying experience.
So far, so good. You also better be in shape because there's a strenuous medical and fitness test. Checked all the boxes so far? Then the sky's the limit. Really? Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Who would win in a fight between James Bond and the Peanuts gang? We'll find out this weekend since their newest movies, Spectre and the Peanuts movie, debut at the same time. Who would win in a fight between Batman and the Hulk? Batman, no question, says Michael Keaton, who played the Caped Crusader in the movies. He says Batman kicks everybody's butt. Keaton now co-stars with Mark Ruffalo, who played the Hulk. Karen Chase, ABC News.
91.3 FM WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative. Brought to you by the Student Activity Fee here at Buffalo State College. This is All Talk Monday, WBNY's public affairs programming that airs Monday mornings till midnight. The views expressed in all the various All Talk Monday shows are not necessarily those of WBNY, the United Students Government at Buffalo State, or Buffalo State itself. Due to the opinionated nature of these programs, listener discretion is highly advised. WBNYs. If you have any questions or comments about All Talk Monday, you can direct them to WBNY's All Talk Monday, 1300 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York 14222. For more information, check out our website at wbny.buffalostate.edu. Or you may give us a call at the station at 716-878-5104 and take part in all the various All Talk Monday shows.
Currently in Buffalo, we have a few clouds, 58 degrees Fahrenheit, 14 Celsius, humidity 38%. Winds are north at 5, barometers 30.27 inches of mercury, dew point 32, visibility to 10 miles. For tonight, increasing clouds, low of around 40, northeast winds around 6, becoming calm after midnight. Tuesday, very rainy, a chance of showers before 8 a.m., then periods of rain after 8 a.m. High of 52, northeast winds around 6, chance of precipitation 100%. New precipitation amounts between a half and 3/4 of an inch possible. For Tuesday night, periods of rain before midnight, then a chance of showers after midnight, low around 43, calm wind becoming west 5 to 8 miles per hour after midnight, chance of precipitation again 100%, new rainfall amounts between a tenth and a quarter of an inch possible. For Veterans Day, a chance of showers mainly before 9 a.m., then becoming partly sunny with a high of 54, west winds of 5 to 10 miles an hour. The rest of Thursday looks like we could have a high wind event possible. Showers Thursday, high of around 58, 70% chance there, and more showers for Friday and Saturday. So there's, once again, 58 in Buffalo. And now we're going to go back to the Peace Center here in just a second. And we're back with some Peace Center issues. We're here with Vicki Ross, the current interim director for the Western New York Peace Center, and Charlie Bowman, the past interim director for the Western New York Peace Center, and we're going to talk about Peace Center issues. Is there anything you want to add to economic justice before we go on to other Peace Center task force groups? I guess that's the question.
Just Eric Gallion runs the Economic Justice Task Force, and he, as we mentioned before, he does wonderful street theater in the name of Nathan Gottbucks. I'm not sure of the first name. Anyways, Mr. Gottbucks, he was...
Probably Gilbert. Who knows?
Gilbert, yeah. Sorry, Eric. If you know it, call in.
878-5104.
Thank you. Eric. Dial your phone there, Eric. And... anyways, he was at the climate justice event last month, and
right.
There's a YouTube video of him up on the Peace Center's YouTube channel. If you go to wnypeace.org and push the YouTube button, we have a collection now of over 100 videos of events in and around Buffalo and in Syracuse, New York, and a few from Lake Megantic, Quebec, on all aspects of social justice, economic, environmental, from in courtroom cases for the drone people get arrested on protesting drones to all the way to the REV hearings, the Public Service Commission. Anyways, Eric has. There's a YouTube video near the top of the stack showing Eric at his true form there. So I encourage everybody to look at it. So,
Well, actually, one of the things I'd say about economic justice and other issues, you're just talking about Eric's Street Theater. I'm thinking of Eric actually played Senator Schumer recently when we had an event protesting, really, or a rally, I should say, in favor of the diplomatic deal with Iran, right? The Iran nuclear treaty, which was very much needed. We want peace treaties. We need to have law, actually, war is currently illegal, and yet we continue to break the laws against wars ourselves. We end up being the biggest bully on the block more often than not. Not that we're the only offender, but oftentimes we're the worst offender. But in any case, it was certainly a slam dunk that nuclear deal should have been done. And so Eric did a great job in playing Senator Schumer when we wanted to interview him, and he didn't show up for our interview. So another Senator Schumer did, and that was Eric. But really, one of the strengths that the Peace Center has is that we have all these task forces, and a lot of the different issues are not limited to one task force. So there's really, there's so much overlap on issues. So, for example, say that relates to the Resist Militarism Task Force, which we could talk a little about. The Resist Militarism Task Force is really about stopping the military adventurism that the United States, the drones being a very terrible manifestation of the newest wave in violence. So the idea that we're going to use drones to perform extrajudicial assassination has proved to be a terrible, well, not only a war crime, but also just immoral and foolhardy. So it ends up with people getting blowback, really creating more terrorism because whole communities are terrorized. And for every one person they're trying to assassinate, there'll be another 28 to 30 people on average are killed. And even the person that they're targeting may not be the one that they actually were aiming at. So there's all kinds of problems with that. And so it relates to the economic justice as well. So all of anyway, as we could go, maybe it's helpful to just list what the task forces are.
Oh, okay.
So there's the economic justice, there's resist militarism, environmental justice.
That's Charlie, yep.
Which is certainly very related to that, too, about the resource wars and things that go on.
Yeah. Right.
Prisoners' Rights Coalition. And the Latin American Solidarity Committee.
Right.
And I won't say it's my personal favorite, but it's my personal responsibility, the Peaceful Conflict Resolution Program, which, of course, I think covers all of those things in another way, and the Peace Education Project, which the only solution to those problems is going to be nonviolence in the truest sense of the word, that justice, that people's rights are not being violated, etc. So they're all related. And here's the other big one that is the main thing that we're talking about at the dinner is racial justice. So we want to start up a racial justice task force. And the main topic at the dinner, not that we won't touch on other things, is going to be racial justice. And racial justice is intimately connected with all of those task forces that we just talked about.
Well, like you said, your speaker here, Margaret, how do you say her name?
Wang.
She's the once again the Deputy Executive Director of Campaigns and Programs for the Amnesty International USA. Right. And she's close to 20 years experience in human rights advocacy and policy, overseeing national campaigns that have led to critical advances in human rights protection. And she also did a lot of racial justice work in Ferguson and Baltimore. Just want to tell the listeners out there.
Thank you.
And that's why it's a perfect opportunity. It's a rare opportunity to hear a key Amnesty leader speak right here in Buffalo. and it's going to be this Saturday. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. It's at the Convention Center, and I have a phone call here, so why don't you take it from there while I get the phone?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Well, I just think also with your current Black Crosses project, which is such a beautiful way and a really powerful way of recognizing the racial justice issues that are so desperate in this country right now, where people are getting killed.
Yeah. No, it's a moving display here at the Buffalo State. I encourage everybody to look at the many dozens of black crosses that are displayed on near the square here, not far from the Student Union. So it's at the bottom of the hour, we heard an advertisement for students to call in to a recruiter to join the military, and I think that a lot of our people joining the military do so for economic reasons. We have a term for those. They're called economic conscripts. They're coming out economic draft, and they're coming out of Buffalo State. They're coming out of UB. All our nation's universities heavily indebted, and one of the promises is to a considerable pay down of that debt from the Pentagon. And the cost, of course, is could be your life, or could be the quality of your life going forward, because medical technology is so good now. So it's we encourage everybody to speak to a veterans Russell's group, veterans.
Veterans for Peace.
Veterans for
which
Peace.
We do have an affiliated chapter.
We do. Russell runs that here locally in Buffalo, and if you call the Peace Center at 332-3904, and to get the other side of the story before you sign on the bottom line. It's very important to talk to people who have been in the field in Vietnam and in the field in Iraq and so forth, to get to learn how it really is. It's not all flag waving and pretty shoes and smart looking marching. There's a lot of hurt involved. So we encourage everybody to call the Peace Center before you sign on the bottom line.
It was a false phone call. So you want to call, the phone line is open, 878-5104. I was just going to mention that Margaret is going to be here. Margaret Wang. And so really it's also to support the Peace Center and their 50 years, just about 50 years of advocacy, campaigning, and activism for economic, social justice, and human rights. So,
actually, back during Charlie, you were just mentioning about during the time of Vietnam, but there are a lot of stories that I've heard from people who did risk their lives or give their lives or become traumatized by being in the war, that black people really knew, and that actually Dr. King, it was when Dr. King gave the speech about beyond Vietnam and saying that the bombs going off over there are blowing up here. The racial element to the wars of adventurism, along with the racial oppression in this country, which is still going on. It's white supremacy. People say, "Oh, we were behind. Now we have a black president, so it's gone." No, it's not. We know it's not gone. You look at how people are getting killed. How look at Tamir Rice's story. What would happen if we had a 12-year-old boy playing with a gun, a white 12-year-old boy playing with a gun was shot?
Yeah, it would be outrage.
It would be unbelievable.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen. I won't say it's never, ever happened, but we know it happens all the time, that when people go for their ID or something, and then the police, because of just incipient racism, that's what it is. Not that it's purposeful, not that it's meant, but it's fear. It's fear And there is the racial element is clear and unquestionable in the numbers. It's clear in the numbers.
Yeah, no, we've really militarized the police here in the United States. I mean, if you if you look at some of the old TV shows showing police people, they're not armed. I mean, they're part of the community. You know, they're almost your next door neighbor.
It's almost like when I go to Canada. I think I'm going back 30 years in time.
Right.
It's such a different culture.
Yeah. And it was a different culture 30 years ago here, too. And our continuous wars, and the drug war in particular, is funding a lot of the militarization of our police departments. And it's a shame. I mean, we should consider the police officer as our neighbor, as our friend, but we don't. All this heavily armed people walking around, is really, in my opinion, unnecessary, because 95% of the police officers never pull their gun in anger. So, my question is, why should they be armed? I mean, since the overwhelming majority of the officers never use their arms during their professional lives, so so that seems to get submerged. So,
well, you bring up an important part of it, which is one of the things that I've heard from people, is too that if the officers were from the neighborhood that they were policing, and I'm going to say then of the same racial background, then or same race, then there might be less of this, call it mistakes or call it whatever you want, but I call it, just grievously criminal, racist behavior. And, it's just looming when the training that people receive is telling them that in the next 2.5 seconds somebody might kill you, and that's going to decide it for you. That ratchets things up. Now, police can say that their alert system, their alarm system is not engaged because of that, but I don't frankly believe it. Because if it's violence begets violence, and fear, again, is one of the big engines there for creating violence. And that's one of the things that we work on in the Peace Center is, it's the old be the change. We have to do what we think is right, and includes, courageously standing up, speaking truth to power, having direct action, nonviolent direct action. And that's something that we do at the Peace Center, which includes everything from people getting arrested at Hancock Airfield trying to stop the drones outside of Syracuse, or just working or even at Occupy.
The drones in Syracuse. The drone issue is really, our racism, extends out from local actions where police officers are killing blacks, unarmed blacks, or who are not a threat to anybody really, and all the way out to our national policy of executing people of color overseas, and it's a seamless transition between those two, and
very true.
We've been doing that since when you think about it, you've been doing it since Christopher Columbus came over here in 1492. And if you want to read his initial assessment of the Arawat Indians, where he landed, he was welcomed with open arms by the Indians and the indigenous peoples, and his first response was they would make good slaves since they're not armed, and they have gold, they wear gold trinkets, and so the gold is valuable. We can have them mine the gold, and we could enrich Spain. So that was that really, that attitude has not changed since 1492. I mean, it's the story of mining in South America is immense and still going on. At the last meeting at Canisius College last month, we heard from Toronto activists talking about the horrors that Canadian mining companies are fostering on Central America and stealing land from indigenous peoples down there, and for the sake of mining valuable metals. So this is going on right now. The Columbus effect is going on right now, and it hasn't ended. And our drone policy in Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen, Pakistan.
Right.
It's drone pilots have the authority to execute people who they think is a threat to the United States, and although they don't know the person's name, they don't, where
they just kind of throw.
It's called a signature strike.
Yeah.
And if their behavior is suspect, if you carry a gun around in your truck in Afghanistan, you could be a threat to the United States. So the Pentagon and the president has given these people authority to make those judgments. And this is a sad if you talk to people who live over there, everybody has a truck and everybody has a gun in the back of the truck over there. It's so common. This is a
kind of reminds me of Texas.
The statistics that just came out in the drone paper. If anybody wants to read the drone paper, I recommend you go to The Intercept.
Right.
And
would that link be put up on the Peace Center website?
I think so. If you go to the Peace Center's Facebook page, you'll see a link to the drone papers. So,
okay.
If you go to WNYPeace.org, WNYPeace.org, and push the Facebook button, you'll see a link to the drone papers through The Intercept. There's another Eric Snowden, Deep Throat, wherever you want to call him, who has released the internal studies of our drone program, and we're killing 9 people before we kill, quote unquote, the person of interest, and so the specificity argument is much higher than that. Is it?
I think it's actually.
You said like 28 to
28.
I'm sorry. I'm
28.
sorry. I
28.
goofed.
Well, actually, it's 28 people for each, which is really the same as in the Reprieve article. It's about something like 28, 30 people for every person that they target. And then in the Reprieve article, they mention that the person that they target may. They'll say it's a certain person, and then they might say that certain person has been killed up to 7 times.
Right. And
so they're not really sure what that certain person, or whether they even did anything. But then it's not the person that they thought it was. So it just shows how much people are just dying, just indiscriminate dying.
Yeah.
And we think we're gonna make friends we wonder why people in the region were just causing. What we took was a couple hundred people in Al-Qaeda that was maybe 200 people, and we've parlayed it in. It's almost as bad as, or it's worse really than the Cold War, in terms of we've just been the best recruiters for any terrorists against us by terrorizing whole communities with these drones.
Yeah, I know.
And they're coming back they're being incorporated in domestic airspace.
There's a huge effort to launch them from Hancock Field in Syracuse, New York, and there's a corresponding effort to do so in Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station here. And I just want to say, I just happened to flip on PBS the other night, and there was they had a program about the King and Queen of England and their response during the bombing raids, the Nazi bombing raids during World War II. They did a wonderful job, keeping up visiting people who were bombed, and they were bombed themselves, the unity of the people. There's nothing that can unify people more than a bombing by a foreign country, and that's so. What we're doing is unifying, the Muslim community worldwide against the United States through this drone program, and as we would be unified if the tables were reversed. I mean, if we were bombing, if we had to be careful.
Oh, sure.
Right.
I mean, if we were being bombed. So, the normal human response is to come together and help one another, and that's what they're doing over there. And several generals have said this, that it's a great recruiting tool for ISIS, and we have created ISIS through our Middle East policy and through this drone program and through our wars in Iraq. And we just don't understand the consequences of these policies, and the media, the general media, has ignored the serious discussion of these issues too.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're coming up here to a break. So
okay.
I'm going to have to break, and then we'll be back with more Peace Center talk after these announcements here. So give us a call, 91.3 WBNY Buffalo at 878-5104. That's 878-5104. Be back with Vicki Ross and Charlie Bowman from the Western New York Peace Center.
Located at 15 Lafayette Avenue, Community Beer Works bills growlers 3 to 7 p.m. Thursdays and Fridays, and at Bidwell's Farmers Market on Saturdays. For more information, go to communitybeerworks.com. Cheers!
So here's 3 cheers for local beers. Beer, 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 Community Beer Works.
Well, Cats Like Us is the place to go. Cats Like Us for retro clothes. Cats Like Us is the place to be. Downtown to Tonawanda Main Street.
Come to Cats Like Us for all your rockabilly and retro clothes. Visit us at 67 Main Street, Tonawanda, New York, or catslikeus.com.
Hey, local businesses! Did you know that underwriting could get you noticed and recognized from people all throughout the Buffalo area for only a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for commercial radio airtime? 91.3 FM WBNY has been an integral part of the Buffalo community since 1982. Did you know that we're a non-for-profit student-run organization? For us to maintain our daily operations, WBNY counts on the student activity fee here at Buffalo State, as well as contributions from you, the local businesses. For more information, contact the WBNY underwriter at 716-878-3080 or WBNYUWD@gmail.com.
We served our country like those before us.
You know, it was a dangerous area. All of Vietnam was dangerous.
The carnage of war left an indelible mark on me.
We came back and built lives. As time went on, we faced new challenges and found support to handle them.
I went to the VA, talked to my doctor.
I started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling.
At MakeTheConnection.net, you can hear our stories and find tools and services available to you.
And now, a Bill O'Reilly moment.
I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show?
Yeah. Okay, in 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay. No. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
This Bill O'Reilly moment was brought to you by 91.3 FM, WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative.
Okay, we're back here on 91.3 WBNY Buffalo. I have some announcements here. On November 10th, that's tomorrow, PUSH, which is People United for Sustainable Housing, is hosting the annual Building Blocks fundraiser breakfast from 8 to 9 at Temple Beth Zion, located at 805 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. Parking is available in the parking lot on a first-come, first-served basis. Parking rules are going to be relaxed at Delaware and Barker Avenues during the event. It's a free 1-hour program for people to learn about PUSH Buffalo. If any of my guests know anything, want to chime in, they can too.
Yeah, I do know something else that's happening tomorrow too.
Well, all right, maybe I'll get to it. I'm going to read a few more.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Me to chime in.
No. All right. There's a thing tomorrow evening at Buffalo State here, right at the Berkshire Penley Arts Center. That's at 6 o'clock, the reception with a 7 o'clock presentation. It's an evening with Robin W. Kimminger. She's it's called the Honorable Harvest Indigenous Knowledge for Biodiversity Conservation. Is that what you're going to mention?
No, actually.
All right. See, that's
There's so much going on.
Well, it's all at the same time. And Dr. Kimminger is a mother plant ecologist, writer, and SUNY Distinguished Teaching Professor. Her research includes the role of traditional ecological knowledge in ecological restoration and the ecology of mosses. She is engaged in programs which introduce the benefits of traditional ecological knowledge to the scientific community in a way that respects and projects indigenous knowledge. And it's free and open to the public. Like I said, 6 o'clock tomorrow, Birchville Penny Arts Center right here on campus. And also tomorrow, there's the Adirondack Mountain Club has a meeting, 7 to 9 at the general meeting, 77 Washington Highway in Snyder. And they're going to have a speaker, Bill Cook, the Magnificent Colorado Trail, author, hiker, photographer, and engaging speaker on his experiences on the Colorado Trail. That's at 6:30. And also on the 11th, the Buffalo Ornithological Society meeting. It's at the Jaeger Room of the Buffalo Museum of Science at 7 o'clock. They're going to have people from the club, Bernie Hester and Holly Sweeney, going to share pics and videos of the more than 400 species of birds and 86 families seen on their 2014 trip where they went to Eastern Australia. And on Thursday, November 12th, there's a wellness walk at Tiff Farm Nature Preserve from 10 to noon. And you have to call on that one, 825-6397, 825-6397 to confirm that the walk is indeed taking place. And also on Thursday, there's a film screening. I guess it's also tomorrow, too. It's the one on Thursday, This Changes Everything. It's about Naomi Klein's book.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's going to be a film screening. I know on Tuesday, I don't know where, but on Thursday, there's going to be the one on Tuesday, I believe, is going to be on Grand Street, 271 Grand Street, but I am not sure on the time. The one that I'm sure of is Thursday, November 12th from 6 to 8 at the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library Auditorium, 1 Lafayette Square in Buffalo. That's enter from Clinton Street between Washington and Oak. For more information on that, push Buffalo's number is 884-0356, or you call the library at 878-8900. It's going to be on Naomi Klein's book, This Changes Everything. The film presents 7 powerful portraits of communities on the front lines from Montana's Powder River Basin to the Alberta tar sands, from the coast of South India to Beijing and beyond. It's sponsored by Push Buffalo. On Friday the 13th, the Buffalo Astronomical Association meeting is at 7:30 right here at Buffalo State College. Their guest speaker is going to be doing Understanding Stellar Data. On November 14th, they have something about gorgeous gulls from 10 to 11:30 at the New York Power Authority lobby in Lewiston. And what they're going to do is a lot of gulls come through this area, and what happens is when the fish go through the power reservoir there that produce the power, they kind of grind up the fish, and the birds go crazy over the fish food. So if you bring your binoculars, this is where the birds are breeding, and there's going to be a whole bunch of gulls there, and they're going to have a guide there showing you what's going on. So that's on November 14th. And also in Niagara County, from 10 to 3:30 at Devil's Hole State Park, they've now in the winter they take more water for the hydroelectric, so the gorge is lower, and I guess it actually reverses its spin. So anyhow, they're giving me the time here. Enough announcement.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of announcements, and I just wondered.
It's been great to be on there, John.
Yeah, yeah. I just wondered if you heard of this one. It's called Cranksgiving. It's from 12 to 4. It's a food drive on two wheels, part bike, part food drive, part scavenger hunt. You have to bring a bike, a bag, a lock, a helmet, and then you have to collect food at grocery stores, and it's going to be donated to Food Not Bombs.
Great. That's a great organization.
That's going to be
yes.
That's why I say if you wanted to chime in, because it's going to be this Saturday from noon. From what time is I got it right here? Noon to 4 o'clock. So after that, go to the dinner.
Sure.
Work up your sweat and go to the dinner. And those are my announcements here. 878-5104. So. There was a lot going on. Normally, there's not a lot. What was your other announcement?
First of all, I wouldn't say normally there's not. I've learned to stop saying
that.
Right
sometimes
now
I have to hunt for
unusual.
stuff, and this is like, every so often, but this one is like all these announcements this week. It's like crazy.
Well, tomorrow, for example, I was going to say that at 5:30 at the Meriwether Library, Citizen Action is having an Alliance for Quality Education and a meeting on education. So that's another very important group and initiative. And actually, we collaborate with, mostly really all of these groups that you're talking about, because back to, everything is really connected, and we need to be connected to really try to shift the way things are happening and to make really social change and institutional change. And I was going to say there's so much going on, but now, for instance, some of the time I can't do it because there'll be other things that
there's
are going
like three
on.
things going on at the same time.
It happens all the time. I sometimes I do try to go to half of one and half of another, but just if I can't really, because it's hard. There's just so we have to pick and choose, but
I want to really get to Wednesday, November 18th, the Peace Jam training.
I was just going to mention that.
Good. Go ahead.
Because actually, I was going to say that one of the things that really cuts into my time is I'm doing Peace Jam. So one of the places that we have it, we do Peace Jam at Compass House. We've had a presence there at Compass House for years, and we've just started doing it at the youth detention facility at the Erie County Youth Detention Facility. So Peace Jam is a wonderful program that was really started with Nobel Peace Prize laureates. So there are 13 Nobel Peace Prize laureates on the board. They are really centered in Colorado, but it's actually national and international. So we have Peace Jam Buffalo. We've had it since 2008, and we're really trying to get more Peace Jam groups up and rolling. So there's a curriculum which was created with the Nobel Peace laureates, and then you can any group that you're working with really could be turned into a Peace Jam group. So the main thing is inspiration, education, and action. So there's a service learning project, et cetera. It's just a great way of working with really kids of any age. So if you're interested in that, you could join us at the Delvin Grider Community Center on Wednesday, November 18th at 5:30, I believe, 5:30. And we're starting off with dinner. So while our other dinner...
Right. It says 5:30 here on my
our
notes.
other dinner is a fundraising dinner. with deep student discounts, but this is an actual free dinner for people who want to get info and training, who are considering starting up a Peace Jam program of their own. So that's the Delavan Grider Community Center right there on Delavan, just a little past Grider.
877 East Delavan Avenue.
Thank you. Yes.
There.
So
see,
that's another
see, your
thing.
host helps out here.
Right,
with
you
it.
do. You
Well,
do.
I've got this all
Right.
prepared here.
Oh, good.
So
Actually, so that's an example of something where it's the Peace Education Project and peaceful conflict resolution, but it's also related to the Prisoners' Rights Task Force of the Peace Center. So
and
it's
that's Chuck
peaceful-
Culhane.
Right. So we all work together, and we work cooperatively with prisoners or people too, or other different groups, and and we collaborate in different ways, or at least share the load.
Yeah, we sure
there's
do.
such a lot to do.
There's a big load, and it needs sharing. So.
Right.
I was just going to ask you, please talk about the Peace Center walk you had from Syracuse Hancock Field to Niagara Falls, and I want you to tell me about like your reception, because actually you were the walk that you were on. You were walking in mainly a Republican district where on Route 31 there, whose many constituents support military action. And I'm just wondering how your reception was.
Oh, yeah. That's, the reception was pretty positive. I mean, they understand what the drones are doing. And I also might add that not only is this a Republican area, it's an area where Fox News is dominant. I would guess. I don't have any papers to back that up, but that's my gut feeling. So I mean, it's we got a lot of high fives. We took turns carrying a sign that says "Honk to end drone warfare." And I didn't think much about it. It was a sign that it was a good sign to hold, and surprisingly, we got a lot of honks. I mean, in this, in this in these rural areas, rural upstate New York areas. So there is a lot of concern about drone warfare, and the media is not reporting on it, and. So this alternative view, which is not the government view, so much of the media reporting is done by stenography these days, not by analysis or thinking.
Right.
And with the exception of the news programs here on WBNY, I think. But anyways, it was a very surprising thing, and we also got a lot of support from the churches between here, Niagara Falls, and Syracuse, New York. They opened their doors and they fed us. They brought in food that when we didn't expect it, and they were very welcoming on our pilgrimage. And Vicki did a lot of the walking, and.
Well, I wish I did more of the walking.
Yeah,
it was 165 miles, by the way.
Yeah, how much did you do, Charlie?
I personally walked about roughly 60 miles.
Whoa!
So
I walked. Oh, so you're right. I walked about 70 miles.
Yeah,
I walked about 70
wow.
miles.
Yeah.
But the big thing was really, it didn't matter which part. I mean, some people. I'm blessed. Actually, my sister was in a wheelchair, so. I'm going to say that walking or not walking, it depends on a lot of factors that are, it's about trying to support an initiative. And believe me, I feel like there was so much support from the people who organized it, who hosted people, who fed people, and back to, in a way, I'm not surprised because people don't really want violence. And I know when I was talking with an unnamed local legislator, not too recently, about drones, and I was talking about what it would be like, what it's like in other countries now, and what could happen when the police start using them to keep the police officers out of harm's way. And this official said, "Oh, I don't want to live like that." Well, of course he doesn't. Nobody wants somebody shooting out at the sky where you just press a button and make a mistake. And especially we know back to the racial problems again. Where is it going to happen? Not so much on Elmwood Avenue, probably more on Fillmore, Bailey. I mean, this is what we know because the racial element in the injustices is very profound.
It's more likely you'll see drones over the east side of Buffalo than Amherst, New York. So, or Tonawanda, New York. So
I always thought they'd have some drones when I'm on over WBNY.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, no, they
anyways, don't like some of my commentary, but
no. The other aspect about the walk was that it was very satisfying, personally satisfying to each one of us. I lost 7 pounds doing it, and and also my spirit was recharged, which I didn't expect. I thought my knees would be hurting, my back would be hurting. None of that happened. My feet would be hurting. Fortunately, I had a good pair of shoes. So it was.
The thing was, you did have a good pair of shoes.
There were benefits of the walk,
70 miles.
which I didn't expect, and I just want to say how important it is to do that. And if I have an opportunity to do it again, I certainly will repeat it.
And I want to really hand it to Russell Brown,
who
was
Brown
the really driving force. He just said, I'm going to do it, and if nobody else wants to do it, I'll just do it
right. And
myself. So he was bound and determined. But the thing is, it really is. We're all in this together. And, I always say actually to kids, the real victory, who wins? The real victory, everybody wins. So, and conversely, when people are losing, when things are hurting other people, then nobody benefits from that. Even in the short term, if people do benefit by economic injustices or things like that, if you believe in the spirit at all, or if you just believe what goes around comes around, which it definitely does, that those kinds of short-sighted, immoral, illogical, just wrong. Injustice is not going to.
What
pay.
I could never figure out is why people try to escalate things instead of de-escalate them.
When we spend over half our federal tax dollars on the military,
right.
Every problem, every nail. Needs a hammer, not understanding. So what Vicki's trying to do, what Vicki and many thousands of other people like her around the world are trying to do is to understand and have discussion, and that's Congress won't allow that. The president won't allow it. It's a sad situation. We need to be spending more of that money on switching off from fossil fuels.
Twinkle that.
If we can.
Yeah, I want to bring up
get into that.
Yes, get into that.
If I wouldn't have done 10 minutes of announcements, we'd have more time. But Keystone XL. That's breaking news there.
President Obama.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, thank you, President, for nixing that project. That project will probably rear its head again if the oil prices go back up, which at some point in the future they will. There's no question about that. So we're in a lull right now, and when the oil prices go back up, or when the natural gas prices go back up, we're gonna see push for fracking in New York State. Acceleration of fracking in Pennsylvania and Ohio. We're going to see more trains carrying explosive oil, back in oil coming through upstate New York. So we're in a lull right now, and we shouldn't fall asleep.
Oh,
and,
God, no.
We need to be switching a lot of that military money into going into renewable energy. We are polluting our atmosphere with CO2 and methane, and they are the blanket. They are like a blanket. They trap infrared radiation, which heats up the atmosphere. So we're experiencing global warming, and 2015 was the so far is the warmest year ever, if I'm correct. Maybe Jack can correct me on that. So the if it's not, it's one of the top ones, and we have to stop that process because we're losing Arctic sea ice.
Right.
And the world's currents will change if that disappears, which change in unpredictable ways. So food growing areas will become deserts, and deserts will become food growing areas, and so forth. So we don't know how to predict that. No one knows how to predict that. And the best thing is to keep the Arctic
experiment.
ice going. Yeah, it's an experiment in progress. And we have to stop burning fossil fuels to, we have to go to wind and solar, which we can do now.
Right.
It's much cheaper than oil or gas or nuclear. And while we were making war in Iraq, the scientists and engineers have figured out a way to do that. And that is an amazing discovery. That's the first time in human history that we no longer have to burn wood. We no longer have to burn oil or coal or even nuclear fuels, really, to generate electricity. This is a transformative moment in human evolution.
Right.
And so we have all this infrastructure that needs to be replaced, and we have thousands of jobs that are going to be lost, and we're going to have to figure out a way to transition those workers into renewable energy and other areas, which through a process called just transition that needs strong funding. New York State is
right.
$19 million for all those.
Yeah, $19 million, and
bucket.
Tonawanda, which is losing Huntley, can't even apply for it because they don't fall under the barriers that New York State put in.
But they're losing $6.1 million. Going to lose.
Right. I mean, it's crazy. So. All the companies, coal companies are losing money. The nuclear power plant owners are losing money, and they're closing Fitzpatrick. They're closing Huntley. They're closing Dunkirk. NRG is who owns those, or the two coal plants is heavily indebted. They're borrowing money to build a gas plant out in California somewhere. They can't make money with coal and even natural gas. I mean, it's natural gas prices are so low. So it's there's going to be a push to increase those energy prices, and of course, one of the traditional ways of doing that is creating war someplace else. And the recent spike up to $100 a barrel was caused by the Iraq War. If you plot the cost of dollars per barrel when the war started, it really accelerated back then, and it's only recently come down. So, go ahead. Yeah, do you have something?
Well, no, I just want to echo everything you've said.
Oh.
And certainly, climate catastrophe.
Well, that's going to start.
That's
actually what's happening in Syria now. They're all what bothers the heck out of me. Okay, when you listen to the network news, I want everyone to get their, like Judge Judy would say, your thinking cap on and listen. Instead of saying the people from Syria are climate war refugees, they're saying they're immigrants. Okay, the immigrants from Syria, they're climate war
they are
refugees,
right.
And that's what it is.
Well, it's back to all of our problems are interrelated and interconnected, just as we all are. So we know that, sometimes it's simple but not easy. But together, if we approach things in a right way, with caring and sharing and using the principles and the spirit that we believe in, that's when we're going to make some progress.
Yeah.
And and that's where I really want to say, at the Peace Center, I feel like that's one of the many places where that's part of how to make it happen. And we would love to have your young energy with our newly forming, I hope we're newly forming a racial justice task force, or on any of the other task forces, or on a task force that you want to start up yourself.
Well, let me just tell you, interject here. I got involved with Peace Center issues a few years ago, and I have learned so much from so many brilliant people. It's like the brain pool of Western New York in the Peace Center. You learn so much from these people.
Well, and
it's
we
it's
need
just
all of
incredible.
us.
It's
Yeah.
but it's
It's gonna
incredible.
take all of us.
If you want to learn what the real issue is. I mean, I can't thank Charlie enough for connecting me with, because I was a climate change guy, connecting me with climate change and, wars.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
No,
all
the Syria, the climate, all the Syrian refugees are climate refugees, big time. It's there was a drought beginning around 2004, 2005 in the near Syria and that area, the Middle East, and there was an internal migration of 1.5 million people into the cities in Syria, and we're suffering from that. And
they're suffering.
Everybody's
Yeah.
suffering. I mean, I just heard that Sweden just took in 1 million people.
Well, we need
it's
to be taking more
huge.
people
We
in. More to
and
follow.
Europe is being flooded by that, and we need to take in a lot more people, a lot more Syrians than what President Obama has suggested. So we need to be taking care of each other in this world, and one of the great things that we can start doing is taking care of the climate refugees of the world, and there'll be many more of them in the future.
All right, we're
taking care of each other. So come join us on Saturday if you possibly can get down to the convention center, but better to get your ticket at wnypeace.org or call the office 332-3904.
All right, Vicki
Thank
Ross, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to be here.
Charlie Bowman, thank you very much.
For having me.
You're quite welcome. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a quick weather forecast, and then we're going to go, and I guess Jessica's going to be on again with the Empower Hour. So let me give you the quick weather forecast, the updated forecast here. We're still at 58 degrees Fahrenheit, 14 Celsius. Humidity is 38%, north wind at 5 barometer, 30.27 inches of mercury, dew point 32, visibility 10 miles, under a few clouds. Tonight, chance showers after 5, increasing clouds, low 41. Northeast winds 6 miles per hour, becoming southeast after midnight, 30% chance of precipitation. Tomorrow, chance of showers before 8 a.m., then we're going to have periods of rain after 8 a.m., 100% chance. We could have a half to 3/4 of an inch possible. A high is going to be 52. And then periods of rain before midnight, then showers after midnight tomorrow night, low of 44. Calm wind becoming west 5 to 8 miles per hour. Chance of precipitation, once again, 100% with a 1/10 to 1/4 inch possible. Veterans Day, a chance of showers mainly before 9, then partly sunny, high of 54. West winds 6 to 11 miles per hour. And then Thursday, we're going into a possible high wind event with more rain between a 1/10 and 1/4 inch possible, high of 58. Thursday night, chance of showers, same for Friday, Saturday, and so it looks like a lot of showers except for Wednesday this entire week. A possible wind event on Thursday. So there's your weather. We're going to go now to see what's on ABC News, and we're gonna go and play that if I didn't take it off, and I bet you I took it off. So we're gonna go right now to the disclaimer, and then we're gonna see if I could get ABC News.
Little ham and eggs coming at you. Hold on, people. Hope you got your griddles.
91.3 FM WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative. Brought to you by the Student Activity Fee here at Buffalo State College.
Making music, that's what that is.
This is All Talk Monday, WBNY's public affairs programming that airs Monday mornings till midnight. The views expressed in all the various All Talk Monday shows are not necessarily those of WBNY, the United Students Government at Buffalo State, or Buffalo State itself. Due to the opinionated nature of these programs, listener discretion is highly advised. If you have any questions or comments about All Talk Monday, you can direct them to WBNY's All Talk Monday, 1300 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. For more information, check out our website at wbny.buffalostate.edu. Or you may give us a call at the station at 716-878-5104. and take part in all the various All Talk Monday shows.